doing a story time today, and it's going to be a little different from my last two videos. You know, not as serious as mental illness or domestic violence, but it is something that I am passionate about. And anyway, I'll just get into it. I lived in a haunted house, and I am really into the paranormal. I am curious about it. My mom passed away in 2001, and then my dad, my daughter, my grandparents, two of my best friends. And so I always have questions, and I want to connect so badly. We live in an old town. It's a village inside of a town, inside of a city. It's real small country town, and in Florida. We were renting at the time, and we found this house, and I fell in love. I just felt so connected to this house. And when we pulled up, I was married at the time. I told my husband at the time, like, I've had dreams about this house, and no shit, I've had dreams about this house. And I was like, this is it. That, like, I want this house. And the guy that owned it had just refurbished it, and did all this amazing stuff to it. It's an old house. It was built in the early 1900s. Okay. It was used as a teacher's house. It was on a school property, and like the principals lived in it at the time, the principals of the school and whatnot. Well, when that phased out in the early 1950s, this man bought it, and him and his wife lived there, and her daughter, and they would have their grandchildren over. And their grandchildren were 5 and 2, which coincidentally were the same ages that my girls were at the time when we moved in. Well, these girls drowned in the local river behind the school. And at that time, he decided he was moving the house away from the river because he didn't want anything else to happen to any of his other grandchildren. And so they moved the house to where it is today, and it's still there. So that's just a little backstory to the house. Okay, when we moved in, within a couple of days, my baby sister, she moved in with us as well, and her son came. And that first night, I heard, and this is only a couple days after we moved in, okay, I heard what I thought was him running up and down, because it's a 2-story house, what I thought was him running up and down the stairs, and I'm like, well, does he need to go to the bathroom or something? Because there's only bathrooms downstairs. There's 2 bedrooms upstairs. So I thought, well, maybe he's got to go to the bathroom and he's just scared because it's dark. He was like 7 or 8 at the time. And, maybe it's just dark and he's scared to come down. And so I opened the door. He's not there. And I'm like, okay, well, maybe he, went back upstairs, whatever. And so I tried to go back to sleep. Well, I lay back down, and again, up and down, up and down, up and down. And I'm like, what the heck? So I woke up my husband, and I'm like, do you hear that? And he's like, yeah. He's like, it's probably just your nephew. And so he opens the door, and it stops, and there's no one there. And we're like, what the heck? And we're like, we're just tired, whatever. So I go upstairs, and I open my sister's door, and her and my nephew are sound asleep. So I'm like, that is so weird. What is going on? Now, I know it's not my girls, because their bed was also in our bedroom. So the next day, I said something to my sister, and she's like, no, none of us were up, So I was like, all right, well, that's weird. Okay. So, we hear things, as the days and the weeks go by, we hear little things, and it's an old house, and I'm like, okay, well, maybe something's going on, We know nothing about the house yet. So the story about the man and the girls, we had no idea yet. Besides the footsteps, my first thing that happened was me and my youngest daughter are home alone, and we're in the bedroom, which was originally we're in the master bedroom, which was originally the living room. And when you look out that door of the bedroom, you are right at the bottom of the steps. Okay, because the steps go up this way and then up. Okay. My daughter was sitting kind of near the door, and I'm at the far end of the room on the computer. We had our desk there with the computer. I'm on the computer. She's sitting there playing by the door, and she jumps up screaming, "Zombie, zombie!" And I'm like, what is going on? But she called anything she was scared of zombie. Okay, we're big Walking Dead buffs. And so I pick her up. I'm like, it's okay, it's okay, it's okay. And we just kind of let it go. Well, as time goes by, this is starting to happen more often. I started to think, we need to do some research on this house, because the footstep things are still happening. Other noises and stuff are still happening. I can't remember exactly what day, but on certain days you could hear what sounded like pots and pans falling. I was like, okay, that's gotta be like a residual thing, because it's happening, you know. And so my Tink started she'd go up and hang out in my sister's room, right? And whether my sister was home or not. Well, one day I'm looking for her. I'm like, where'd you go? I went to the bathroom, come out, she's not in the living room. And I'm like, Tink, where are you? And I'm calling for her, and I hear her upstairs in my sister's room, and I'm like, oh, you can't be up here when Cookie's not here, you know, don't get into her stuff, because my sister's into all the pops and cosplays and, you know, all this stuff. So Tink would like to go up there and play with her stuff. And I go up there, and she's sitting in front. She has the little closet door open, the little 3-foot closet door open, and I'm like, okay, well, she must be getting into my sister's shoes or whatever. And I said, what are you doing? And she's singing a nursery rhyme. I've never heard of it. I couldn't tell you what it is today. She was only singing like a few words, but the tune of it, and I'm like, what are you singing? Nothing I'd ever heard, right? She said, oh, I'm playing with my friend. I said, oh, okay. And I said, zombie? And she said, no, my other friend. Cool. And I was like, well, let's go downstairs. Your friend can come with you, but we're getting out of here, right? Fast forward a little bit in January. At this point, I know about I found out about the girls. I found out about the grandma and grandpa that lived in that house. I've talked to the owner of the house. And I've talked to some of the neighbors. You know, I started finding out about how the girls died and stuff. Well, there's this one guy. He was just a local drunk, and he'd always ride his bike. And I was out on the porch one day, and Tink was playing, the girls were playing, and he rode by on his bike, and he circled back around, rode back by, and kept going back and forth. And I'm kind of like, okay, this is kind of creepy. But he was like, hey, I don't mean to bother you, but you know that house is haunted, right? And I said, really? And he said, yeah. And at this time, I'm already kind of knowing, hey, we're living it, right? And he said, yeah. And I said, how you know? And he said, well, when the owner was, you know, fixing it up and stuff, he let me come in and help him out to make me some money. And I said, oh, okay. And I said, well, did anything happen when you were in here? He said, yeah, I won't go upstairs. And I said, you won't? He said, no, ma'am. He said, one day when I was riding my bike to come to work, I pull up to the front yard, and I look up, and then in that window, there's 2 little girls looking out the window. And I'm like, what the heck? I'm getting chills just talking about it, because I was so freaked out, because I know now about the 2 girls passing away, right? And I'll add this picture at the end. I shit you not, when you Google, and I'm not giving out this address, but when you Google Earth this house, and you zoom in on that front window, you can see a woman and 2 girls. Okay, you can see the outline of a woman and 2 girls. It's the craziest thing ever. Okay. Moving forward, we went to the lighthouse to do a ghost investigation, and my husband at the time was like, no, I don't believe in this shit. This is crazy, but I'll go, because I have anxiety. I don't like going to places. Okay. And so I'm like, go with this, just go with this, even if it's just for fun, just go, whatever, let's see what it's about. And they would break up the groups into 2, where one would go up in the lighthouse, one would go down, and you kind of bypass each other, but you're not messing with each other's investigations, you know. And the story goes with this lighthouse is, there's an old slave that was there, and he was hung outside of the lighthouse. way back when. And he stays in the basement area, and we have to sign waivers because people have gotten scratched there and their hair pulled, whatnot. And I'm like, this is such bull crap, whatever. But we signed the waivers anyway. Well, during that investigation was crazy. The lighthouse, that's a whole different story. And it was really scary. We came home, okay? When we got home, the days following that were pretty crazy. We would hear our outside furniture on the front porch moving. The footsteps stopped. The upstairs got extremely heavy, where you just felt like you couldn't breathe. My dogs wouldn't even go up there. The kids wouldn't go up there. We started getting this weird smell in there. It was weird. But after that night, our house was never the same. It was never the same after that. My ex-husband started acting weird. He got very abusive at that time. And things just went to shit. Okay? So my best friend, knowing everything that's going on, obviously, says, hey, I found this local group that's a psychic. And they do group readings called Gallery Night every Saturday. And it's only like $10. We should go and see what's going on in the house. See what's going on with my husband. I said, you know what, that's a good idea. Let's go. Well, there's usually only like 10, 15 people in this group, right? And you all sit in a room and you all sit in chairs around, and they have different psychics, mediums, whatnot there. And they alternate each Saturdays. And so she goes around to everyone, and some people don't have a reading, some do. It's just whatever she gets, whatever. I don't know how that works, okay? I'm not a psychic. And she said, when she got to me, she said, there's a lot of negativity surrounding your home. And I said, yeah. And she said, do you have any questions for me? And I said, yes. And I said, what is in the home? And she said, there's 2 little girls there. And there's a man and a woman. And she said, but there's something that's not supposed to be there. And it's not good. And I'm like, which I kind of figured. But at the same time, my upbringing of Southern Baptist is like, this isn't real. This isn't happening. It's all in my mind. But she said, listen, we have a local group that will come into your house. They'll bless your house. They'll investigate, and they'll bless it, and they'll, teach you how to take back control of your house. And they do it all for free. And I'm like, let's go. Let's do it, right? One of the conditions to the investigation was that I stay there. And my oldest daughter decided she wanted to stay with me. And it wasn't that I don't think that they would have faked anything, I guess. I just wanted to be there because, I was curious and I wanted to see how this worked. And so they start upstairs because that's where we were having the most, weird activity, not being able to feel like we could go up there and breathe, And one of the guys stays downstairs, and we stay downstairs, and we're sitting on the couch because I really don't want to go upstairs. You couldn't. God, you couldn't. And so he starts in my son's room. Me and my daughter are sitting on the couch, and I was like, we're in the dark. All the lights are off, but there is some lighting coming in from outside, right? And we're sitting there, and I'm like, did it just get darker to you? Did it look like darkness came out of his room? And she was like, she saw the same thing. She couldn't even, she was holding my hand so tight. She couldn't even answer me. And so I told the guy that was in there walking around, I said, did you just walk out and walk back in? And he was like, no, I'm over here in the closet. And I was like, because it looked like it just got darker. And so he came out to where we were, and he was taking pictures around around where we were sitting and stuff. And I'll add this in. And one of the pictures, you can, we're sitting, well, we got off the couch, but he takes a picture of the couch, and you can see this darkness in the corner by the couch. And you also see 2 orbs here. Almost like, I don't know. It was crazy, right? And so he took another picture, and you could still see it. Well, they talk us into going upstairs, and we didn't do a spirit box, but we had the EVPs, and like it was active. It was active. It was crazy. Like, I mean, I knew this stuff was going on in my house, but I didn't realize talking to them and getting responses was a thing. I don't know why, but it was. And so we carry on through the night. A few days later, they come back with the evidence, and we go over the evidence, and they said that there was something evil in the house upstairs in that bedroom that had the weird smell, and they were gonna, tell us what to do and show us what we need to do to cleanse the house. And we did that and saged it, and sea salt and water and spray, and it was a crazy time, y'all. It was a crazy time. Going over the EVPs was weird because it wasn't a spirit box. It was just recordings, and it's like there's no mistaking that. One of them said Bella. Which is my daughter's name, my 15-year-old daughter's name. She was 5 at the time. One said, I haven't listened to them in a while because they do give me the creeps, but I will add them in.
How old you are? Possibly your life. How old you are? Possibly.
Some of the EVPs I know I can't play anymore for whatever reason. I don't know why. This was back in 2011. And I haven't listened to them in a while, but I was telling the girls about this not too long ago, and was, I was like, oh, I have the EVPs, but I think I have like 2 or 3 of them. The other ones won't play for some reason. I don't know why, but I will include what I have. But we moved shortly after that. Things got really bad in the house. Even after saging, whatever was going on with my husband at the time, it just didn't get any better. And so I left, and I wanted to get out of that house so bad, because it seemed like no matter what we did, nothing changed, nothing got better. It was to the point that neither of the upstairs rooms were being used again. And yeah, so I left. It was a bad situation there. And the crazy part about it, this house haunts me, y'all. What I mean by that is that I keep getting brought back to that house somehow or another. The people that moved in after us, she was having some issues with the house, which we did have issues with the house as well. I mean, it's an old house. And the landlord wasn't being very good on helping those situations. There was mold, it was bad. But the people that moved in there, her daughters were getting sick all the time, and she had put out in a Facebook group something about the house, and my friend saw it and was like, this sounds like your house, like because she was talking about how her daughter was sick and that there was mold in the house, and that could mold cause paranormal stuff to happen. And my friend saw that and tagged me in the group, and I joined the group, and it turns out, without me even saying what I had happened in that house, she explained the same things, even down to her husband and her getting in arguments all the time, and they didn't normally argue. After that, a friend of mine found a dog and put that out, hey, found this dog, whatever, on social media, and somebody contacted her and was like, oh, that's my dog, but I don't have my car, do you live in the area? And she was like, well, yeah, but I mean, kinda, like, 5 miles away. And she was like, well, I don't even know how he got over there. And she's like, yeah, I'm not sure. She was like, but my friend was like, I can bring you the dog, just give me your address. It was that house. And it's just strange. It's strange to me. Now, a little girl that Tink goes to school with lives in that house, and they experience the same things. It's crazy. It's crazy to me. I still to this day believe that we brought something evil home from the lighthouse, and I think that if we would have never gone to the lighthouse, nothing in that house would have ever turned out the way that it did. And that's just my belief in it. Anyway, if you like this video, leave me a thumbs up, subscribe, stay a while. You know, want me to do more videos like this? I have plenty of story times of paranormal experiences, because I do still have things happening. Nothing evil though. We do go out and ghost hunt, me and the kids, and we have the Necrophonic app and a K2 meter, and you know, it's a fun time, I guess. All right, hope everybody's having a good day, making good choices, minding your business, not being an asshole, and not sending dick pics, especially to minors. Okay, bye.